Yo, what's up guys? We have a new rule set for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC format that has just been announced. This one's going to be a little bit different though, as we don't exactly have full information out, but the bottom line in the short TLDR of what we do know right now is we will be having all Pokemon legalized from the Teal Mask DLC. As you can see right now in that image, you have Melodic, you have Snorlax, you have Vikavolt. Melodic will be a very notable Pokemon, being a competitive Pokemon that has a lot of good bulk and can actually act as like a good kind of stalling presence and cause a lot of fear for a mon like Landorus Therian that we saw this pick up a lot. So now they have Melodic, which can act as a little bit of an answer to that. Snorlax was kind of good in past formats and is a little bit interesting here as like a Belly Drum, Trick Room attacker, and conversely like a Curse setup set. Though it's a little weird because like the strong normal type now has like very direct competition in Ursaluna, so that's going to be a little hard for it to actually see play in that aspect. And the rule set will be running on October 1st through November 30th, which means we're going to have this format for quite a fair bit of time. I'm not sure what the rule set would be on past November 30th. I don't believe the second set of DLC releases then, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, to go over the Pokemon we do know, CRB actually did give us the benefit of this showing some of the Pokemon that are legal. I'll say notable things right away: Walking Wake and Iron Leaves are still banned, and we won't be getting those until the second round of DLC. So you won't be able to see our little Electric Paradox friend either, the Raikou variant or the Cobalion variant, until much later, in what I would presume would be a much stronger format. So that's something notable to keep an eye on for the future. But to get in like to some of the mons that I think will be notable, Clefairy may not sound like it will be notable, but Clefairy is a Pokemon that every single VGC metagame, it finds one tournament that this comes out in this top cuts. And Clefairy always has like very low usage surge. No one usually uses Clefairy, but when it sees play, then it usually sees some level of competitive success. That's been like every year now for like the last 7 years now, since, well, more like 6 years now, since like 2017, where it's always seen a certain level of like this play overall. But even in 2016, there was like some spot places where Clefairy this showed up and did pretty well. And then we got 2015, there was like a Clefable that won a regional, which honestly could have been a Clefairy if you asked me, but but yeah, in general, Clefairy, very good Pokemon. Friend Guard is a very valuable trait, and unlike Mousehold, it has this extra benefit of acting kind of as a Trick Room answer and more bulky form of Mousehold, since it is a bit slower and can use Eviolite. You can use moves like Follow Me, After You can use like Encore and Trick Room to counter Trick Room. You can use Helping Hand. Kind of plays this kind of fairy type version of Mousehold. And even though Mousehold exists and gives even more competition than it's ever had before, it's still a Pokemon that has enough of a niche that I think it will find some play. It will be very sparingly, but it's still like a good Pokemon nonetheless. But actually oh shoot, how did that get me to that page? But okay. The next Pokemon I wanted to talk about though is Ninetales, and Ninetales is not good for the Cano form, though Cano form is a little bit better now because of Sun is better because you get Flutter Mane, you get boost on those Pokemon, right? But the more notable thing is you got Ninetales Alola. And Ninetales Alola is a very cool Pokemon. It has Aura Veil, and it's, oh shoot, dude. All the pages are down. That's so tragic. Yeah, Ninetales Alola is a very notable mon because you're getting like 100 plus base speed, right? Wait, check. You get 109 base speed, so you're able to just go faster than a lot of Pokemon in the metagame, and then you just set a Auravel, and then you have your Blizzard, you have your Icy Wind, and you have a great Fairy typing, which if you notice in Wild in the metagame right now, we have Urshifus, we have these Iron Hands. Even though Ninetales only has like a base 81 special attack, right? It's not something to like scoff at when its offensive coverage is so good into this metagame. Like, it's good in a Lander, it's good in the Urshifu. Like, it's not going to be KOing these Pokemon, but it hitting super effectively alone is very valuable. And couple that with the insanely good support of Aurora Veil, it having like insane bulk now thanks to the snow defense boost, even as something that would already like generally survive most hits. And Ninetales is already going to be a premier threat for the next metagame, and a very, very big upgrade for Snow over Abomasnow. Other than that, we already talked about Snorlax a bit, decent Belly Drum, Trick Room Attacker, but another interesting upgrade, or maybe like this mid-grade, because like the competition between Polytoad and Pelipper is very interesting, as Pelipper has the benefit of not being weak to grass types, and also having like more like offensive utility with like Hurricane. But Polytoad is interesting because of this much better like defensive kind of rain mindset that you can play, where you can play like Helping Hand, you can use Encore, you can use Icy Wind, and you can kind of like play the slow, bulky rain setter that this won't die as easily, and can also like cause a lot of shenanigans. It also gets Paris Song, which could be something that like shows up occasionally maybe, and kind of offers this like new playstyle to rain that we haven't seen yet with this Paris Rain, right? It's not a playstyle that we've really gotten to see, and usually tends to pop up a little bit with like Gothitelle and Polytoad. But other than that, we have Mammal Swine. We'll see the big boy later. It's off the Pillow Swine, but I'll talk about it now. Mammal Swine, Ice Ground, very good offensive typing. Mammal Swine has regressed as we gone on in VGC, but there's so many flying types with like Landorus, you got Thundurus, you got Tornadus, got mons like Rillaboom that, of course, Rillaboom can KO it too, but Mammal Swine doesn't have to worry about Grassy Glide anymore. And Grassy Glide was a big problem for like how Mammal Swine played in like Sword and Shield. Because you just get like Grassy Glide, you just get like chipped by these mons that you're supposed to be beating, and then you just don't actually end up beating them. And that caused a lot of problems for old Mammoth, but now those problems are a little bit less common, and there's not as many ways to just get around that. Of course, it still has a lot of like flaws in its own right. It's an Ice Ground typing, the very mad defensive typing, but could be an interesting Pokemon nonetheless. For sure, for sure. And it's not like the slowest mon ever either. Like Mammal Swine has a pretty average 80 speed stat, which of course is slower than Goldango, which is going to be very problematic for it actually. That's a very sad stat. But it's immune to Intimidate, it has Ice Ground offensive typing, which is very great. Semi-okay defensive bulk, but you're not really going to get too much out of it. And it has some like cheese with Snow Cloak and like AV potential, but that's probably not going to be too relevant. But it is something worth to talk about with the Snow Cloak defense. But boost, you're actually able to run a much bulkier Mammal Swine and play it potentially differently. And we have Melodic, the competitive coil, the setup, this go off kind of Pokemon, and the stall forever with recover and stuff. And we also have Dusclops. And if you played Sword and Shield, you should know how like powerful Dusclops was. During that whole time, we didn't really have a Trick Room setter. And Dusclops is still going to be a little bit notable because it provides a lot of like unique things, right? It's a very bulky Pokemon, near impossible to just KO outright. And it also just has like this ghost typing. It can't be faked out immediately. It doesn't need to run a covert cloak for that. But I think those qualities of Dusclops are a little less good now, because like it's still vulnerable to taunt. There's Pokemon like Urshifu Dark, there's Pokemon like Chien-Pao Chi-Yu, Flutter Mane hits it super effectively. Like there's so many things that just hit it, or it's gonna annoy Dusclops just enough to cause a little bit of problems. But there's other notable traits where like Dusclops gets some like cute little tech moves like Bulldoze and self-procking that Cresselia can't do. And it also gets access to moves like Will-O-Wisp. And it has like pain split shenanigans to make it near impossible to kill potentially. And that proves to be a little bit notable for sure, for sure. Ambipom's funny, but unfortunately it won't be good. It does still have Skill Link, but you know, not really much to talk about there. Fake Outmon though, pretty fast. But another note, Kildor is actually a pretty big one here. As Kildor, a lot of newer VGC players won't remember this Pokemon, back like 2015 during the Black White days. This being that premier fighting type, Kildor actually has like a very... Unfortunately, Iron Hands will probably outclass it largely because its fake out and its bulk is just ridiculous, right? But to get to the comparison of what like Kildor is versus like Iron Hands, Kildor has this unique little thing about it. And that's just his ability to use Mach Punch, and its attack stat is very ridiculous too. They have the same attack stats. But yeah, Kildor is sizably less bulky, and that will be something that causes considerable problems to it. But thanks to like Guts, thanks to like Iron Fist, it has more immediate presence than an Iron Hand can have sometimes. Though I think that ultimately gets like overridden by Fake Out. And this Iron Hand's being too broken of a Pokemon, right? But in a world without Iron Hands in theory and having moves like Mach Punch, Drain Punch, and of course they're all labeled illegal because like it's not in the Dex yet. I'm using this. Maybe I'd go to National Dex or something. You get all these punching moves. And you have this like relatively okay Pokemon. And with all the dark types in the metagame too, like Chempao, being able to Mach Punch a Chempao is very solid, and be able to like Drain Punch it to full out off of it too. Unfortunately for it, this is the fact that there's a better fighting type. It probably won't see much usage. But Kildor is a Pokemon that if we had it like Series 1, for example, or if we just lived in a world where Iron Hands didn't exist, then it would be like a lot stronger. And then Vigavolt's kind of interesting. Bug Electric, Trevenant has Harvest, Mandibuzz has Overcoat, and Polytoad and Taunt, so it can just sit on a Moongus very well, and it's just a very bulky Dark Flying typing. And then the last like very big one I want to talk about real quick is Como, and Como had this one major flaw throughout like Sword and Shield, throughout like Sun and Moon, right? And that's the Dragon Fighting is weak to Fairy and has that ×4 weakness. But now that's not really a thing anymore, as you can now terrestrialize to a defensive typing with like, let's say you just go to Terra Fairy and go like, hey, nothing hits you really super effectively in the meta of water. Go like Poison, you can go Steel even, go like Flash Cannon on it. Like you have a lot of potentially good options on this mon. And it can run a variety of sets too, as you see the 110, 100 attack, 110 attack, 100 special attack, while not seemingly that great. It allows it to run such a variety of sets. And the physical set of Como is actually not too bad anymore. As you're able to run Clangorous Soul, you lose 33 HP, but now you have Covert Cloak, so you can't get intimidated. You have Overcoat to get around the Spore, and all of a sudden you're able to use Drain Punch, and you're able to use kind of like physical Como if you wanted to. Let me see. So normally physical Como was like, it's not a thing that we could do very easily with Clangorous Soul. Like it had Bowie Drum and there was some niche sets with that, but it was never very good. But now it's more of a conceivable option to run bulky Clangorous Soul because you have Covert Cloak, and now you just can't get intimidated repeatedly. That opens up a very big door to take advantage of these great physical moves. Like there's Breaking Swipe too, if you just don't want to do damage at all, just go pure recovery. And let's use Drain Punch as your recovery source. But yeah, that could be a very interesting thing of this tearing, playing very defensive with Como, having Covert Cloak, and then Drain Punch for healing. But alternatively, you can also run this a special set, right? Where you run Clangorous Soul, you run your like Throat Spray, and then you just go in, get your Clanging Scales off, get your big attack off, maybe like an Aura Spear, or a Flamethrower for coverage, you know. There's a lot of decent options with Como. And I think it's going to be like one of the more premier scary threats that can just take over a game because of this pure variety, and it's pure this utility to do whatever it wants, honestly. Like there's not really a bad way to go about playing Como. And you see it has like Poison Jab on the physical end, it has Flash Cannon for the steel end too to hit fairies, it has move like Body Press, which I don't think this set will be too relevant this format. But Body Press Iron Defense was something that did come up with like leftovers, as it had like Overcoat. So that's a very unique niche in itself. So I would expect Como to have like such a pretty valid niche in this metagame. And honestly, I could see like something around like Como plus Ninetales. If you want like to run 2 new Pokemon that we're getting that are confirmed. And that's because like Como has, even though these have like 2 very big clinical weaknesses, Ninetales Auroraville can go a long way to allowing you to play a very defensive Como, because you get the screens and you can use like Clanger's Soul, you use your Drain Punch, you get the recovery. And there's like such a wide variety of ways to play that Pokemon that's going to be very interesting to see. And that's all we'll talk about in this video so far. There'll be like more, I may do an updated version of this video if we get like a more expanded announcement of the format, or maybe on like format release day, which I should be doing more general like streams on my Twitch channel, and there should be more content on this channel going into the new format, as I plan on this like kind of pushing a bit more as like I kind of get like my medical health out of the way. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let me know what you think of this format. Personally, I think it's like kind of really interesting. This with like some of the mons that we know right now. I do hope that we get to see a few more new mons, and I am a bit let down that we're still away from Iron Leaves and Walking Lake. Like I want to see these guys going, but maybe it's for the best. Walking Lake is kind of crazy. And I expect the Capalian form to be kind of crazy too, and the Raikou. Those both seem kind of ridiculous. But yeah, that's it for this one. If you like this kind of video and you want to see like more DLC content in the future, leave some comments, subscribe, you know, the whole stuff. And yeah, that's it. Goodbye.